Hello everybody and welcome into the Asphalt Outlaws Racing Xfinity Series live tonight from the Milwaukee Mile. Thank you all so much for tuning in. You are watching Austin Green on PGR eSports. Well, one of the few appearances that we make at a short track this season, that'll be where we are tonight at this really interesting style short track, the Milwaukee Mile. The same length as Dover Motor Speedway. The big difference is there is no banking here. It is completely flat, and that means that it is going to indeed race like a short track. So before we get any further, let's get right down trackside and get into tonight's starting grid. Taking the pole on the inside, it's going to be David Traylor in the 54. He has been on a tear as of recent. Puts down a good lap here tonight at a 30.562 to grab that pole position. Colton Hardy will start to his outside in second. And then it's going to be Joe Yates back in third. Charles Van Schaik in fourth with Mark Beverly in fifth. Evan Schilling, he'll start sixth. Dylan Paws back in seventh with Haas Beverly to his outside at eighth. And rounding out your top 10 is Jesse Calloway and Clinton Woodby. Moving on back to row number 6, Jonathan Herbert will start on the inside in the number 88 car here tonight. Jesse Wise to his outside in 12th. Moving on back to row number 7, it's going to be Jay Stinson alongside Bill Hales. Matthew Fritz back in 15th with Keith Prince in 16th. Then you've got Michael Newman in 17th with Lance Thompson in 18th. And Rick LePage rounding out your 19 car field here tonight. Looking at your race info, it's the QH Design 145 here in the Xfinity cars. 145 laps will be the distance at a mile a lap. That gives you your race distance. Stage brake at lap 30, 95% fuel. You do have 4 sets of tires, along with that 1 fast repair if you need it, and 3 green light checkers as well if we were to need those. And so with that, see if the pace car is going to do an extra lap or if it will make that sharp left turn to the pits. There it goes, and so we are ready to go as well. Here we go. Green flag is in the air. We are racing at the Milwaukee Mile. Good restart. The field going to work their way through 1 and 2 for the first time here tonight. This is a very, very tricky track. The surface is a little bit older. The way the rumble strips work on the bottom, not really a rumble strip, more so the curbing to a degree. It's a very, very tough to get these Xfinity cars around here. You got a lot of horsepower, not a lot of downforce. That's what makes the stock cars so fun to race around any of the short tracks we go to. But so far, so good. Looks like everybody's actually going to be able to keep it together and keep it clean through the first lap here tonight. And so with David Traylor on point, his teammate Colton Hardy currently sits in second. And you've got the 23 of Charles Van Schaik back in third. Joe Yates right now in fourth. He's maybe looking to make a move. Watch for the 87 and duck out of line here as they work down the back straightaway. Couldn't quite do it. Slipped up, lost a little bit of momentum further back. Little bit of 2x2 left. For the most part, everybody had single filed out, but the 92 of Clinton Woodby looks like he's still going to work here. Right now, he's stuck on the outside. He's going to try to get back even with Jesse Wise. And, early pit stop here and an unscheduled one at that for Haas Beverly. You wonder if the 22 is serving some sort of penalty that he got from the previous week. Not any that I can remember that come directly to mind, but I have to think there's something. At least that's the only reason I could see the 22 going down the pits. And sure enough, he did a drive-through. So, yeah, he must have been serving some sort of penalty. And that's why we saw him come in as early as he did. So, David Traylor continues to lead up front. A little bit of 2x2 action now for second. That's Charles Van Schaik currently racing with the 97 of Colton Hardy. Hardy, one of the loose lug nuts drivers, will file in line here just in front of his teammate Joe Yates, who was able to find victory lane for the first time last week. Boy, what a big win that was for Joe Yates. Really was able to kind of swing the momentum in his direction finally after coming close a few times this season, but not being able to get the job completely done yet. But, I mean, hey, Gateway kind of races like a short track. Similar level of technicality to what we're seeing here tonight. So I'm telling you, keep an eye on Joe Yates. He may be really, really fast here once we get into the longer run. Here's the onboard view of Evan Schilling, a driver out of Newark, Delaware. And right now for Evan Schilling, he's got himself up a few spots. Actually looks like just a couple from where he started this race at. He'll be looking to see if he can continue to move through the field here. And you can hear, it looks like at least, I guess I should say more so it sounds like, from that onboard shot that he's burning up quite a bit of front tire, maybe not so much the rear tire. You gotta be careful because if these cars get tight, which they very well might here, they're gonna become really, really tough to try to get around these corners with any grip. And if you got a guy behind you that was able to save tire a little bit better, they will eat you up in the long run. So for Evan Schilling right now, just taking it nice and easy in that number 18 radar scope Chevy Camaro. No reason to push it just yet. But watch for, well, I say no reason to push it, but for a split second there, I saw some damage to the back of the car. Doesn't look like it. So Schilling's still good to go, as again, he currently sits in that 5th position. Back up front, David Traylor continues to lead the way, as we are now 7 of 145 laps through here at the Milwaukee Mile. David Traylor, both him and Colton Hardy made the transition over to loose lug nuts. At least I believe it was a transition. There were still obviously, I don't want to call them rumors, but some ideas floating around, at least for me, is whether or not they had been there at the start of the season, or if it was indeed kind of a change that they decided to make towards the middle portion of the season, which is the move that I'm talking about that they did a couple weeks ago to switch over from white knuckle racing to loose lug nuts. So we'll keep an eye on that, see if we can get any more info on that in the coming weeks. But point is, loose lug nuts, I mean, they are a beast of a team this season. There's no doubt about that. When you look at some of the drivers that they've got running for them, they are going to be really, really tough to deal with when the playoffs come around. David Traylor, I mean, arguably of the teammates, has been the man who's been on the biggest tear as of recent. Not quite able to get the job done last week. He was battling really, really hard on that last lap with Joe Yates, but Yates got the better of his teammate in that one. Got to think that maybe that gave David Traylor a little bit more fire, as if he really needed any. As, oh, hold up here. Caution is out. First time tonight, trouble. A little bit further back as, oh, I think we had one going to the barrels here. That's Lance Thompson in the 21. That's exactly what happened. Major front end damage to that Chevy Camaro. He's going to immediately tow it there. He didn't even try to limp it back to the pits. And I think that's exactly what he did. Right as we got to him, it looked like that car may have went into the barrels. Let's see if that's the case here for Lance Thompson. He's coming off of turn 4. And is he just going to... Is he going to get loose, or is he going to try to get to the pits? Let's see here. As he starts coming off the corner, looks like the car is getting loose on him. Yeah, I think he just gets loose, and then, well, he locks it down, but that is a massive hit. If that doesn't tell you that they are going fast here, well, I don't know what does. I mean, he came off the corner and locked it up and still hit those barrels that kind of separate the pit entry wall from the racetrack. He didn't just hit it, he clobbered it, but watch it from the cockpit view, and you'll see a little bit better what I'm talking about how he gets loose right here. So the car is fighting tight on him. He's trying to put more and more wheel in it to get it to turn more, and then as he goes to get on the loud pedal, it just starts to slide out on him, and like I said, he locked it down pretty quick, but unfortunately just ended up kind of in the wrong place at the wrong time with the trajectory, if you will, that car slid on into those sand barrels. So for Lance Thompson, talked about this is going to be an early fast repair that he'll have to take. Good news is obviously that nobody else was involved, as that would have, of course, complicated things a bit more. So we give you another view from the alternate TV angle. I wonder if pit lane 2 had a good view of this. Looks like it doesn't. Show you one more shot here from the blimp cam. And you see the 69 of Jesse Wise behind him. Probably glad that the 21 slid to the left and not to the right. Otherwise, that wreck could have collected a few cars instead of just one. But again, for Lance Thompson, tough break as he brings out our first caution here tonight. So as we go back live now, up front, leading the way is David Traylor. He has led them all so far. And so he'll restart on the front row alongside Charles Van Schaik in the 23. Now, you really didn't see, at least from all the data that I'm showing, I know we didn't get to see it when we were looking at replay, but yeah. Okay, so sure enough, you didn't actually have anybody go down to the pits here under this caution, just a little too early. I think that's the main reason behind that. In fact, if you think about, you know, the set of tires that you got here tonight to work with, it's a total of 4. And so that means that you've only got 3 sitting in the pits. You're obviously going to take one at the end of the stage. And then from that point, you're still going to have over 100 laps left in this race. So you want to make sure that you've got some for when you really start to need them through those green flag stops in stage number 2, which will obviously be the final stage in the race. By the way, if you're just tuning in, we appreciate you being here. You're watching the QH Design 145 for the Asphalt Outlaws Racing Xfinity Series here from the Milwaukee Mile. And I hope that everybody is having a good Friday evening, Friday night, depending on where you're at, as we get ready to get back to green flag racing. Haven't had a chance to do too much of it, at least not yet. But that first streak, some of the racing that we did get to see there, I guess I should say that first run, some of the racing that we did get to see was pretty good. I mean, the Milwaukee Mile, I said it was going to be a difficult track. I was a little nervous that it would race like Martinsville and we'd see a lot of cautions, but I mean, through the first 10 laps, they were clean, and just a little bit of a mistake from Lance Thompson was really what brought out the caution. But besides that, we saw quite a bit of great racing. By the way, we do have a couple onboard views here tonight that we will be showing you throughout the broadcast. It is the 2 loose lug nut teammates that normally carry onboard views for us, David Traylor and Colton Hardy. Just so happens that those two are going to line up right behind each other. And so you've got David Traylor, who is currently leading the way. He'll lead this restart back to green. Looks like he did indeed stick with the inside line. And then on his outside, or excuse me, just behind him rather, is going to be his teammate, Colton Hardy. And on his outside will be the 23 of Charles Van Schaik. And so Colton and David, as always, we appreciate them carrying some onboard views for us. I'll tell you what I wish we had tonight. I wish we had a pedal cam. At a track like this, I think a pedal cam would be really, really cool. But nonetheless, let's go to the blimp cam here for this restart as the pace car will work its way off of turn number 4. We'll make that left turn and the dip down to the pits. We will quickly roll our way back up into the Geico restart zone. Green flag is back in the air at the Milwaukee Mile, and it's a good restart for the 54 of David Traylor. He's going to get clear by a couple car lengths down into turn number 1, and the rest of the field still double file. This first lap is really your best chance to make up track position. Once they do single file out, it just becomes so difficult to try to make anything happen after that point, and you can see right there, Michael Newman trying to make something happen as he continues to pick up spots here on the outside now. He's up 12 positions from where he started this race at. Jesse Calloway, Evan Schilling, two of the other drivers that you see right now working this outside line. 15 of 145 laps complete. That means that we're now officially at the halfway point here in stage number 1. And there's the 27 machine of Matthew Fritz, who currently sits in 8th. He was trying to set up a move right there on Dylan Pause, but just couldn't quite make it happen. Pause gets the best of him. But now as we go back up front, David Traylor in the 54, he's going to be looking to see if he can stretch some gap between himself and his teammate Colton Hardy here before we get to the end of the stage. And at this point, you don't necessarily have to save a bunch of tire anymore. You were probably saving a little bit early on, but with that caution that we had and when we went back green, I think it's go time. And for David Traylor, talked about how much of a lead he's going to try to get here before we get to the stage break. And the big idea here is just find out what your car can do, where it works best, where it doesn't. Set yourself up to have speed in that final stage in which, I mean, obviously the plan is to go all 100 and something laps of it under green. Now for David Traylor, I do want to hop on board here and actually show you what a lap around the Milwaukee Mile looks like. Again, very interesting track. There's no other track that's really like it. Closest comparison in my mind would be Dover, but the big difference is Dover has heavy banking in the corners, whereas the Milwaukee Mile doesn't. So down in the corners here, they get under 100 miles an hour. In fact, down to almost under 90 miles an hour. And then as they get back on the straightaway, no shifting involved in these Xfinity cars like what we would see in the next gens. And then they get well over 140 miles an hour down the straightaways. So that gap between first and second is now up to almost a second as Van Schaik and Hardy now do some battle. And Schaik on the inside, Colton Hardy's on the outside. Can Van Schaik get the best of him in the braking zone? The answer is yes, he can. Was able to outbrake that 97 car on entry to the corner. And doesn't look like Colton Hardy's going to be able to hold that outside, at least not with any speed. And so Hardy's going to lose 1, potentially 2 spots here as now Joe Yakes, he'll look to the inside as well. Just got to be careful here if you're Colton Hardy. Try to slot in line. Otherwise, Mark Beverly in the 55, he might be looking to try to go with this 87, make a move to the inside of the 97 as well. Nothing doing just yet. Hardy's still committed to the outside of Yakes. Now he'll give him just enough room to get in front. And the 97 still not able to paint the bottom of the racetrack that time. Washed up a little bit. And you saw Mark Beverly was able to go right by on the inside, further back, 2x2 between Evan Schilling and Matthew Fritz. Fritz is now able to get by Dylan Pause after being stuck behind him just a few laps ago. So a good move there by Matthew Fritz. He is currently the highest running of the Noma Motorsports drivers. He sits in 7th. He's up 8 positions from where he started this race at. All the racing that we saw on the restart did not take long for it to diminish back into kind of that traditional single file action that you expect to see at one of these short tracks that we go to. And, you know, I should mention, this isn't the first short track that we have been to this season. Don't forget that we went to Iowa just a few weeks ago, and we saw the racing that that track provided us with. It's really what gets you excited to see what we're going to get here tonight. But I just think that if you're going to beat David Traylor, you're going to have to do something different. Because we're starting to hear week in and week out, everybody say the 54, I just can't catch him. He's got something different than me. At some point, you got to try to beat him a different way, whether it's a strategy call, whether it's just trying to stay close enough and hope for a late caution. Somebody somewhere is going to have to find a way to stop the domination that this 54, and not just him, but even Loose Lugnuts as a whole, has been able to kind of have here over the course of the last handful plus a couple more races. Dronoma Motorsports started the season strong with a couple wins. Again, since then, it has really started to kind of be the David Trailer and the Loose Lugnuts show, if you will. Then Shake currently sitting in second. Joe Yakes is third. Mark Beverly back in fourth. And then you see a little bit of 2x2 action there further back. Some more contact, actually. That's Dylan Paws and the 7 now. Excuse me, actually, that's the 2 of Jay Stinson, rather. And Stinson, he'll get that spot. All of a sudden, Dylan Paws now starting to kind of drop like a rock in water. So he's going to need to just see if he can minimize the damage right here. Don't want to let anybody else by you. You've got another Noma Motorsports driver that was able to get around in just a lap. So now what does he do here to try to fend off Michael Newman? Well, the good news for him right there was that Newman got really, really high. He got out of the groove, and so no move will be made for the 12 car that time. He'll slot in line back further back. 24 of 145 laps now complete, and that means that when David Trailer crosses the line this time, it'll put us at officially 5 laps to go here in stage 1. Remember, stage points can be a big deal when it comes to playoff time, and you're trying to sneak your way through one of the rounds by just the one extra point, and you're going to be thinking to yourself, man, what if I could have got that one more stage? What if I could have got that one more stage point? How would that change the position I'm in now? I think that's why David Trailer is content with being so aggressive, at least in the Asphalt Outlaws Racing Truck Series, on both the short run and the long run. 25 of 145, though, complete again. This time now it'll be coming to 4 laps to go here on the stage. And Charles Van Schaik, I mean, he's been trying everything here. He's been working around a little bit, but just can't seem to find really anywhere close to the speed that the 54 machine has found here tonight. Dylan Paws, Matthew Fritz, they continue to race side by side down the front straightaway. Actually, I take that back. Looks like Fritz is now dueling with Evan Schilling. Dylan Paws has lost a couple of those spots. Fritz has got the inside, so he's got the preferred line here. The question is, can he get clear off of turn 2? And it looks like he does. Is he going to take it? Yeah, not quite. Looks like he decides to stay to the inside, being very respectful of the 18 of Evan Schilling. And he'll go ahead and duck it back down, wrap the bottom, and see if he can drive away on exit. 27 laps complete. That now puts us at just 3 to go here in stage number 1. David Trailer trying to hold on for what would be his first stage win at the Milwaukee Mile here in the Asphalt Outlaws Racing Xfinity Series. This is the first season that AR has decided to make a trip to the Milwaukee Mile, and I'm glad they did, because again, we have got to see some really cool stuff so far here tonight. You see that bottom lane continuing to kind of rubber in and get darker and darker, as it is now just 2 laps to go in the stage for David Trailer. And Van Schaik, who is in second. Again, we talked about he's just not going to have enough. I mean, even if he made up a ton of ground starting right now, he's just not close enough at, 3 seconds plus back. So David Trailer, it's all clear sailing ahead. He's just got to make sure that he keeps the car under him. Meanwhile, the battle for second is the one that we're keeping an eye on right now. As you can see, looks like Charles Van Schaik is going to try to hold off Joe Yakes here, although Yakes, no real big run to show right there. And then just behind these two, looks like you've got a couple other hungry drivers. Mark Beverly, he's looking to see if he can win here tonight. He's going for it up front. So it is now just the 1 lap to go, making about a half a lap to go here for David Trailer as he works his way off of turn number 2. When he crosses the line this time, it will be for the stage victory. So David Trailer looks like he's going to get through 3 and 4 clean. He's been very, very dominant early, and no surprises there, but the question is going to be, can it continue? Either way, David Trailer for Loose Lugnuts will grab the stage win, and the only stage win here tonight at Milwaukee. And so now they'll just wait for most of the field to cross the line before the caution ultimately gets thrown right here. And sure enough, there's the caution. So with that, David Trailer again is your official stage winner, and we will get to see some pit stops and along with the full service here, but we're going to see it on side by side as we go take a quick break. Stick with us here at the Milwaukee Mile.
played a couple of simulators, and this was like very responsive, especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point.
But you feel like you're really driving, it feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Green flag is in the air. We are racing.
3 by 3.
Almost no trouble. Around goes Alex Hill. On into the outside wall goes Hill. They're wrecking big time out back. We're not going to throw a caution. Finish. Who gets it in the line? Cody Nagels wins it in Talladega.
Welcome back to the QH Design 145 from the Milwaukee Mile. As you see, the lights are off on the pace car. That means it is time to get back to green flag racing. Your stage 1 winner was David Traylor, and I was going to see if we had a chance to interview him, but once commercials ended, looks like they were back with one to go, so we'll see if we can maybe get him later in the race, depending on if cautions fall our way or not. But either way, it's time to get back to it here. Final stage looks like in total is going to be 111 laps to be exact when they go back green right here. And so watch for the pace car to make that left turn. Sure enough, there it goes. Back into the restart zone. The final stage at the Milwaukee Mile is underway. And it's a good restart for the 54, David Traylor. No big surprise there. The 54 has been money on whatever restarts we've had tonight. Joey Yates, trouble. Is the 87 going to go around? He's trying to save it. Now there's some contact between him and Evan Schilling. No caution yet. They keep it green for now. The 87 gets back on track, but he's got some damage. And so does Evan Schilling as well. The question is, can they both continue here? Oh, Evan Schilling, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out here. Does he have some suspension damage? That left front is not looking too good. Yeah, he does. The answer is he does. And he's going to immediately take this to the pit lane, it looks like. That's a tough break for Evan Schilling, who was just kind of minding his own right there. But Joe Yates, restart, he was trying to pick up that intensity a little bit more. You know, we talked about the restarts are really the best time to make up that track position. And for Joe Yates right here, just the car just gets loose on him here. Does he wash up? Let's see. See the 87 here. He's starting to wash up a little bit. And, oh, well, maybe he wasn't washing up all that much. He does start to wash up. But watch the 23 of Van Schaik. It looks like Van Schaik is turning down right here. Yeah, I take that back. It doesn't look so much like Yates was moving up as it does Van Schaik was moving down. The left rear Van Schaik hits the right front of Yates, and it just immediately starts to send that 87 car around. Yates is trying to drive out of it, and then See Evan Schilling come along and nowhere to go for either of them. And now back up front, caution is out. We've got some trouble here. And this time it does bring out the caution. Trying to figure out who was involved here. Got a report that Jay Stinson may have had an issue, but it's looking like Jesse Calloway potentially with some problems as well. I don't see any damage on either of those cars, at least no obvious damage, I should say. This is your third caution of the night, second one for incident. Let's go back and look at it here. Again, Callaway's car looks clean from everything I saw with Stinson. Thought his car was clean as well. Is it just going to be a harmless little loop-de-loop here? Oh, looks like the 4 gets turned. Does everybody keep it out? Oh, man. That was close. And then it almost sounds like there was a secondary wreck that happened up front here. I heard somebody else sliding. The question is, was it Stinson or was it somebody else? Oh, yeah, because you see Jay gets in the grass. So there was basically 2 different incidents that happened right here. The first one, this one didn't bring out the caution. It was one further back. But watch Jay here. He's getting to the corner, just overshoots a little bit, gets into Dylan. Then he gets loose, gets in the grass as he starts coming back up. He's going to get into Dylan again. Starts to turn the 10 car around, and then Dylan actually saves it. Kind of off the front bumper, if you will, of Jay Stinson. But again, that's not what brought out the caution. At least I don't believe it was. I think it was that incident that we saw further back here with Jesse Calloway as he got into the corner here. I mean, him and Haas Beverly, they're going to try to go around the 18 of Schilling. That would put him 3 wide on entry to the corner, and that's a pretty tight budget to be on right there and try to make that work. And just some slight contact gets the 4 loose, sends him around. He goes into the grass, but the car got sideways enough that the virtual racing admins decided that a caution needed to be thrown. And so with that, we will get a chance at another restart here early in the final stage. As, watch it again from this view. Callaway, just nothing he could do once it started to hook around on him. Then he's going to try to drive it through the grass. That was actually pretty smart. And for the sense of he did that to try to get it off the track quick enough that nobody else would run into him. So a nice piece of driving there by everybody to not get any damage. Just direct that is going to ultimately cost a couple drivers their track position. The ones, though, that weren't so lucky were Joe Yates and Evan Schilling, who did get pretty significant damage. Both of them did, that is, on that first incident that we saw on the opening lap of that last restart. So David Traylor right here, you hear the car idling a bit. I wonder, is he saving a little bit of fuel? Whatever he's doing, he doesn't have really any RPMs in that car right now. It looks like he does turn it back on. And so since we've got a chance, since we're back on a caution, let's see if we can get a word here with your stage winner, David Traylor. Hey, David, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Hey, I got you, Austin.
Well, we didn't really get a chance to talk to you there before you went back going green, but you guys get a quick caution. So now that we've got the opportunity, you get the stage 1 win there. And boy, this track, it's interesting. I mean, it's kind of like a mix of, it's the length of Dover, but it's got the banking of Martinsville. How do you kind of make the adjustments here to a track that really we've never been to before?
My experience from driving a lot of super late models through the years of iRacing. This is kind of just a big short track, it feels like, really. I like how loose it is. It requires a lot of throttle control. I've got my brake bias set to where I'm really comfortable entering the corner. It's lower than most, so it gets a little sideways, but it feels good. Like I said, I like how we're feeling so far.
Well, the adjustments that you can actually make, of course, knowing it's fixed setups, are minimal, but that's a pretty cool one. Glad that you mentioned that to us. A lot of people at home wonder what that is, so we appreciate the insight, David. Congrats on the stage win, and we'll see if you can hold on to it.
Thanks, Austin.
I like that he mentioned that about the brake bias, because that's true, and that's an adjustment that, I mean, as a broadcaster, I probably don't do it enough justice talking about it, and I think really that's because I don't think a lot of people use it. But I'll tell you about what that is here in just a moment. First, though, let's get back down track side where green flag is in the air. And we are back underway here at the Milwaukee Mile. It's a good restart again for David Traylor. He's aced the last couple restarts. This one was no different, but watch out back. Can everybody get through 1 and 2 a little bit cleaner this time? And it looks like they do, at least so far so good as they work down the back straightaway. Still plenty of 2x2 as a couple drivers were able to get into that single file slot up top. There's Colton Hardy on the outside of Haas Beverly. A little bit further up, 2 of the Noma Motorsports drivers trying to make something happen. That was Matthew Fritz and Stinson. As you see Haas Beverly in the background there with a brief wiggle. Touching on that brake bias adjustment that David Traylor was talking about. Basically, the idea is simple. the more brake bias that you move to the rear, or I guess I should say, the more you move the brake bias to the rear, the looser the car is going to be on entry to the corner, versus the more you move it to the front, the tighter the car is going to be entering the corner. So David Traylor, he's been making adjustments to it, and that's true. You can't make any physical adjustments to the setup, but you can make a small adjustment such as a brake bias adjustment. So that was a good call there by David Traylor, and very interesting to see how well it's working out for him right now. 44 of 145 laps complete. That means that we are just about officially a third of the way through this 145-mile event here tonight. The Milwaukee Mile, again, a very flat track. You heard David Traylor also say that it basically races kind of like a big short track, and that's very true. You hear Mark Beverly. Well, actually, let's jump back up. You know what else you might have heard right there from David Traylor? At least what I heard was he doing a little bit of shifting here? Let's take a listen here and see if that was true, or if I just heard something. He's in fourth gear right now. As he works out of the corner, you hear him get back on the loud pedal. I was going to say, I wouldn't think that any drivers would have been shifting here tonight, but let's just take a listen here to make sure. Here David Traylor really checking up through the center of the corner and has to arc it back down. Okay, so it doesn't sound like he's shifting, just using a lot of throttle control in the process. And then, uh-oh, Jesse Callaway here with a brief moment off of turn number 4. But it does look like he was able to keep it together, so we stay green. Here's what happened, though. Jesse Callaway, as he gets down to the corner. Man, that was almost the exact same incident that we saw between Callaway and Haas Beverly that brought out the caution just a few laps ago. And so a lucky save and a lucky getaway that time for Jesse Callaway, but seems like that 4 car has been struggling tonight trying to enter the corner when he's had a car on his outside. We'll see if he can get that fixed up here before the race is all said and done. It's like the 53 now. Bill Hales thinking about taking a look here on the 88 of Jonathan Herbert. Couldn't find anything that time around. Going back to what David Traylor was talking about with it racing like a big short track, that's going to be what it's like for all these drivers. Oh, one around. Haas Beverly, can he save it? He cannot. Big hit into the inside wall for Haas Beverly. That'll bring the caution back out, as we were just over the 1/3 threshold here in this race, and that is massive damage for Haas Beverly. He'll be able to back it out and get it back on track here. You hope that he can at least roll back to the pit so that he doesn't lose a lap. That's going to be a bit of a question right now with how much damage he's got to the front end of that race car. Looks like it is rolling for the moment. See if it can survive here to make it to the pits. And you saw it out of the front windshield there for Jesse Callaway, Jonathan Herbert. Haas Beverly, he's just going to get a little bit loose right here. And once it starts to go on him, it really goes, and there's that big hit into the inside concrete. Destroyed the front nose of his Ford Mustang. Bam! Big shot, and you can see it actually shoots him back out onto the racetrack. That's what ultimately brought out the caution right here. I mean, once he loses it, and it seems like we saw this kind of for Lance Thompson too, there's not a lot of places to run here when you get loose. It's almost like you're guaranteed to go into the inside or the outside wall, depending on which way the car snaps, but it's, again, a really tough break there for Haas Beverly, who was just trying to kind of run around, see if he could get himself in a rhythm, click off some green flag laps, but watch it and listen. Starts to get loose, tries to stay in the throttle to save it without losing too much time, and sometimes you're kind of your own worst enemy when it comes to saving a race car, and I've done it all the time too. You try to stay in the throttle to drive out of it and think back to it, and you say, man, maybe I should have just let off, held the brake, maybe the car would have straightened out a little better, but either way for Haas Beverly, it happened so quick, you never really had a chance to try anything. Give you one more angle here from TV3. And lucky that when he slid back up here, he didn't slide all the way back up, or that could have potentially been a whole lot worse. This is now our 4th caution here in 50 total laps. Those have not all been under green either. So we're still looking to see if we can get at least one long green flag run before this race is all said and done. And you figure we are now under 100 laps to go. As a matter of fact, when we go back green, it's probably going to be maybe a little bit closer to 90 laps to go here. So if you're thinking about when you're going to have to make that final stop, and again, as of right now, you are still going to have to make at least one stop. 95% fuel, I don't think, can get you 95 laps at a track that's a mile in total distance. Of course, we'll have to see, but either way, the point is, I would expect a pit stop for full service, fuel, and tires at some point if it stays green from here. However, if we start getting some more cautions, that could certainly change some things up and the way that you play out the strategy. Do you maybe pit early, get the tires, and then try to hold on to track position? Or do you maybe not pit, try to hold on to the track position, and then take tires late? That would be some of the potential questions. And so as David Traylor, as we mentioned earlier, he got the pole. He's led every lap since he won the stage, so he's going to try again here for the attempt at a sweep. We'll see if he can get it here tonight. As do the lights on the pace car, will they go off this time when we cross the line? That's the big question there. But again, if you're just tuning in, we appreciate you being here. You're watching the QH Design 145 for the Asphalt Outlaws Racing Series here at the Milwaukee Mile. And sure enough, looks like they're going to start to double file it back up. Lights are indeed off on the pace car. So we will try to get back to some green flag racing here momentarily. And I almost think that maybe you either split this stage up or you run it as long as you can. I say this stage. You split this run up if it were to go green all the way, or you try to go as late as you can. I don't think going early is necessarily going to be the right call for anybody. But you never know. We'll have to see. These guys know what different fall-offs you get from different tire strategy, from the way that you run the race car, when you decide to take tires versus when you don't, how much fuel. They've got all the crazy overlays for that. So we'll just have to see how it all pans out here. But for David Traylor, he'll wait for that pace car to make the left turn and then put the field back in his hands. Off of turn number 4, Dylan Paws up to second. He is on the move. He's up 4 spots from where he started this race at. Can he get one more and try to take the lead from the inside? Green flag back in the air. It's another big jump for the 54 of David Traylor. Looks like the 10 of Dylan Paws was able to get a pretty big jump as well. And they will stay 2x2 for second place through 1 and 2. Van Schaik's going to try to get clear. Can the 23 make it happen? Not quite that time. Dylan Paws is going to keep challenging him here on the inside. 62 of Clinton Woodby, another car that's stuck on the outside right now, as is, looks like, is that the 27 of Matthew Fritz? Indeed it is. So a lot of drivers that are still fighting for position. Here we go, 3 wide. The 2 of Jay Stinson got hung in the middle, as you saw Colton Hardy in the 97 try to go on his inside, not able to make it happen. Colton Hardy, boy, he just had the door slammed in his face right there by Jay Stinson. And you wonder if that would maybe help Matt Fritz charge up a little bit of a run, but it doesn't appear that it has. And so Stinson's going to continue to run whatever he feels like is his most comfortable race line. And he's probably saying right now, if anybody else doesn't like it, you're free to go up top and try to make it work if you'd like. Otherwise, just sit here and follow me around. As Jesse Wise, big hit to the inside wall for the 69. Jesse Wise goes for a slide and tags the inside safer barrier. I guess I should say inside concrete, and you can tell, look at the damage to the left front of his Toyota Supra. A very similar incident to what we saw with Lance Thompson earlier. The only difference is he doesn't hit the barrels here. He hits the inside wall, and that was a little bit too far back, so we're going to have to go do this the manual way, but I do want to look at it here. For Jesse Wise, looks like he did have a fast barrier because he just used it. But watch as he's coming out of the corner here. Is he going to get loose, or is he going to get a little help? Looks like for the 69, is he just going to get loose? Yeah, that's exactly what it is. No help anywhere close. Just gets loose and then down into the inside concrete wall. That's what gave him all that left front damage. All right, so as we go back live again, he's got it fixed up. I would assume now he's just waiting on the tow bill before he'll make his way back out onto the racetrack. He's going to have some ground to make up, though, as he's going to be scored probably about a few laps down. But I guess you never know, so we'll have to see how it all does pan out. Either way, though, with David Traylor leading now, 56 of 145 laps complete. So with that, we are going to take another quick break, but stick with us. We'll go side by side and be right back at Milwaukee.
I played a couple of simulators, and this was like very responsive. Especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point.
Make you feel like you're really driving. It feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Green flag is in the air. We are racing.
Three by three.
Almost no trouble. Around goes Alex Hill. On into the outside wall goes Hill. They're wrecking big time out back. We're not going to throw a caution. Finish. Who gets it in the line? Cody Nagels wins it in Talladega.
Welcome back to the Milwaukee Mile. Before we go back to full screen, did want to show you what the upcoming schedule is looking like for the Asphalt Outlaws Racing Series. Next week we'll be off for Thanksgiving, so no race next Friday. And then it's off to Atlanta Motor Speedway to kick off December. Then we'll follow that up with Michigan International Speedway. Then it's off to Texas Motor Speedway. And then we will have Christmas off before kicking off the new year at Pocono Raceway. And then you notice there to round out the regular season, we'll be at Talladega Super Speedway, and then we also have Daytona International Speedway as the second to last race in the round of 10. So a little bit of a shake-up in the schedule, something different. I think it's going to keep everybody on their toes, keep things exciting as you get that good variety in the Asphalt Outlaws Racing Series of pretty much every kind of track, but at the same time, you still get a focus on the tracks that everybody loves, such as the super speedways. So as we do now go back to full screen, you saw it all while we were on break, and that was really not much of anything. David Traylor continues to lead. Let's go a little bit further back. We do have a bit of battling going on, though, here. This is for the 7th position. Dylan Paul is currently leading. Pretty good group of cars right here. You've got Joe Yates, the 4 of Jesse Calloway, and the 12 of Michael Newman, all trying to figure out a way to get around him. Yates with a run on the outside. That's enough to get him back clear of the 4 Jesse Calloway. Now he's going to have to go to work here on the 10 of Dylan Paws. I think if you're Joe Yates here, you got to be in a little bit of a sense of urgency, at least if you want a chance to go back up there and try to fight for a top 3 finish in this race, because he had pretty good speed early, but the problem after that incident was it's just been a struggle to get back through some of this lap traffic, or not lap traffic, but just traffic in general, to get back towards the front of the field. Notice for Joe Yates, make sure that he has that car pointed straight on exit of the corner. And the turns here, that really are kind of weird. The idea is, get as low as you can. That's hard to do each and every lap, but it just feels like the turn goes on forever. You feel like you almost got to turn 3 separate times on entry, through the middle, and then again on exit before you can actually start to think about putting the hammer down. And Joe Yates right there, he was able to get on the brakes a little bit later, and he did catch up a bit on Dylan Paws. Can he hold that speed on exit? It gets a little bit tight, and he just loses all that momentum. So that's where Yates is kind of costing himself right now, and Jesse Calloway might be looking to take advantage here himself. See Calloway with a little bit of a move up top. Is he going to try to cross him over? Michael Newman and Calloway really close to touching bumpers right there. No further contact is made. They keep it together. So this 4-car race here And what again is the battle for 7th continues between Dylan Paz, Joe Yates, Jesse Calloway, and Michael Newman. Just behind them, got a little bit of a 3-car battle. The 53 of Bill Hales is trying to fend off Evan Schilling and Mark Beverly. Mark Beverly, we saw some glimpses of the speed that he's got at these short tracks earlier tonight. Things didn't work out for him at Iowa after he got hooked by Dylan Paz in a late race restart. But Mark's certainly one of the better drivers when it comes to the short tracks that we go to. Any of the technical tracks for that matter. And so tonight, he's going to maybe hope for one more caution to have a chance to go up there and prove that. As it is now, again, 69 of 145 laps complete. So now we're starting to get a little bit closer to that halfway point in the race, which will be in just about, looks like 7 to 8 laps time from now. And so as these three continue to battle for what is the 12th position, actually I take that back, make it the 11th position. Everybody else on back is separated. Rick LePage on an island kind of by himself. And you've got Haas Beverly back here. Jesse Wise, he's by himself. Lance Thompson has officially retired from the race as of right now, and so has Keith Prince, who I don't know if he ever was actually able to make the start, or if he just basically kind of did a start and park. I'm not sure what the deal was, though, for Keith Prince, but he is no longer in the race. So David Traylor, who continues to lead, has his lead up to about 2.1 seconds over the second place 23 machine of Charles Van Schaik. And then back in third is Colton Hardy with Matthew Fritz in fourth. Clinton Woodby fifth, Jay Stinson in sixth, and Dylan Paz still leading this 4-car battle in seventh. So while we talk about all the battling that's going on track, it's probably good to mention what the battling is looking like, at least in terms of the point standings. And so this is after last week. David Traylor finally able to go back to the point and take that top points position away from Van Schaik, who had it for quite some time, even though he had not found a win, at least not as of yet. So Traylor currently leads in points. Van Schaik is second. And then it's Colton Hardy third in points at the moment. Clinton Woodby fourth. Joe Yates in fifth after that win last week with Matthew Fritz in sixth. It's like Mark Beverly in seventh. Jay Stinson in eighth. You've got Evan Schilling in ninth. And Kenneth Redinger right now has been scored as the 10th place running position in terms of points. And he is not here tonight, so he's going to drop even more positions in terms of his point standings. So still single file here, but it's still the same drivers that are all in a group. And in fact, what was kind of, well, not really two groups, but it's starting to merge back into one briefly. Beverly trying to catch the back of the 12 of Michael Newman. By the way, it looks like here, since we got back to Green Flag Racing, we saw that incident earlier before we went to break with Jesse Wise where he tagged the inside pit wall. This had also happened here between Jay Stinson and Dylan Paz, and boy, you talk about close. Stinson goes through the grass, saves it, but that's not the first time that those two have kind of butted heads here tonight, so you got to keep an eye on those two. They may be getting into it a little bit later if they're lined up bumper to bumper. But either way, Stinson, at least right now, is ahead of Paz, so he doesn't have to worry about it. And actually, Jay here tracking down the 92 of Clinton Woodby. As a matter of fact, this whole pack is. So the more that they track him down, closer they get to those podium positions. But right now for David Traylor, he's not letting anybody get closer to him. He is 2.9 seconds out in front of the field. And remember, a lap time here around the Milwaukee Mile is only 30 seconds. That's pretty quick. But the point I'm making with that is, you know, it's still probably a ways away. But we may start to see quite a bit of the field in danger of going a lap down if this race goes green long enough here during this run, because Traylor is running extraordinarily fast lap times as he continues to, again, separate himself from Van Schaik. Actually, we can show you exactly what that time delta is looking like right now for Van Schaik. And so David Traylor, over the course of the last 5 laps, has just continued to extend that lead. Van Schaik, the delta is just getting worse for him. That is not a good sign, but as long as he can stay as close, well, 3 seconds isn't within reach, but obviously the goal at this point just becomes to kind of try to minimize the bleeding, minimize the damage, if you will, until we get to this first and potentially only green flag pit stop that we are expecting at some point here in this final stage. And again, I think when we're going to see that pit stop wouldn't be until we got to at least lap 100. You know, if you're kind of trying to go with the splitting at halfway strategy, but if you decide that you want to go a little bit longer or try to run it out so that you don't have to worry about saving tire on the last run, then I think maybe we see this thing go a little bit further, maybe even to the lap 110, 120 marker. We'll just have to wait and see. Again, not sure the exact fuel number that these guys can get around this 1 mile racetrack. I would almost think that it was maybe somewhere between 70 and 80 at most. That would be my guess. But you gotta, account for the fact that you're using less and less throttle as each lap goes on, and therefore you're burning less and less fuel each lap. And depending, of course, on what your pace is, you may also be burning a little bit less fuel, a little bit more fuel than others around you. And so here's Clinton Woodby, and it sounds like, at least for the 92 here, he may be struggling a little bit with the car starting to get tight. Now, of course, everybody's going to have the same general, I guess, struggle, if you will, of, you got to be really, really smooth getting the power down or the back end will just swing out. But once you get into a rhythm, it's actually interesting. You don't notice that anymore. All of a sudden, you start to notice, man, I'm doing the same routine, but the car feels like it's really washing up in the corner. And that's basically a driver starting to get tight. And remember earlier, David Traylor mentioned that brake bias. One of the adjustments that you can make if you start getting really, really tight, go ahead and put some negative brake bias in it. Shift the brake bias back to the rear bit, and that will hopefully help loosen the car up at least a little bit and try to help until you're able to go into the pits and get a new set of Goodyear stickers. So there's Charles Van Schaik. It looks like Matthew Fritz has tracked him down. Boy, of all the tracks that you would have guessed that Matthew Fritz would have been one of the fastest guys in the field at, I don't know if I would have picked short track. And I only say that because I've seen him really, really good at super speedways, really good at the 2 mile ovals. But here tonight, he's proven that he is really good at some of these short tracks as well. That's the driver out of Middletown, the Catman. As Matthew Fritz here is going to be trying to apply some pressure onto the back bumper of Charles Van Schaik. We'll see if he can make something happen. And for Van Schaik, oh, whoa, boy, was that close. And did Fritz hold on? He did. Okay, so Van Schaik here actually decided to bring it down to the pits. That is an interesting call. This seems a bit early, but maybe they couldn't go as far as I even thought they could go on fuel. Or maybe Van Schaik just decided to go with the strategy of pitting as soon as possible. I didn't feel like that would be the best call, but we'll have to see if it works out here for Charles Van Schaik. And so as they'll get ready to go back out, I want to go back and actually show you this pit stop here for Van Schaik. But you see Joe Yates down the pits too. So yeah, this indicates to me that we may very well be getting ready to see some green flag stops. But for Van Schaik, watch how close this is here. As they come off the corner, Fritz is starting to get a bit of a run. Van Schaik decides he wants to pit, and for Fritz, whoa, man, he had to dart to the right at the last second to miss that one. Nice job by Fritz, and then for Van Schaik, he's able to get down to the pits with no issue. Takes 4 tires and fuel, and he will come back out with Joe Yates, who also has already made that pit stop, the first green flag pit stop of the night. So now we'll turn our attention to see who else pits and when. You see Rick LePage a lap down, Haas Beverly a lap down, as is Jesse Wise and Lance Thompson. Those cars, I believe, got put a lap down naturally due to just not having the speed right now or potentially having some trouble. So the only 2 that are a lap down that should get it back once everything cycles through is, of course, Joe Yates and Charles Van Schaik. And so if you're David Traylor, how do you react to it? I think with the lead that he had, he's okay to keep going as long as he can. I don't think he has really any reason to need a pit early, but we'll have to see what call he decides to make here. For now, though, he continues to stay out and tries to stretch this lead over what is now the second place running car of Matthew Fritz. Fritz is 3.1 seconds behind. We'll see if he can maybe track down Traylor a little bit. Van Schaik had kind of hit a roadblock, couldn't really catch more. But speaking of Van Schaik, since him and Joe Yates both made their pit stop, let's compare some of these lap times to get an idea of just how bad the fall off may be. So there's the last lap for David Traylor, a 32.1. The lap before that was a 32 flat. Compare that to Van Schaik. He's running 30.9s. That last lap, another 30.9. So just the fall off for the amount of laps that Van Schaik ran compared to the amount of laps that David Traylor has now ran, and of course being on those older tires, is about 1.1 to 1.2 seconds. That's a very significant amount of fall off. Maybe not as much as we've seen at a couple racetracks we've been to this season, but it's definitely enough to be noticeable. And you got to remember that basically what that is doing is that each lap that Van Schaik is out, he is making up a second on David Traylor by being on these fresher tires. So at this point, Van Schaik, once everything cycles out, will actually cycle out ahead of David Traylor, but the idea would be that Traylor will eventually catch him again in the long run once he's got fresher tires than the 23 car. Again, if you're just tuning in or if you've been hanging out all night, we appreciate you being here. You're watching the QH Design 145 on PGR eSports for the Asphalt Outlaws Racing Xfinity Series. Had a great night of broadcasting last night over at the PGR Fall Brawl. Glad to be back broadcasting for these guys here tonight as we see a pit stop here from the 4 of Jesse Calloway. And it looks like Jesse Wise in the pits right now as well still. And so even though Calloway brought it in, I didn't see, at least didn't get any data on anybody else bringing it down to the pits. And so right now, David Traylor, who has led every single lap, continues to decide what he's going to do for a pit strategy here. And this is going to answer that question. Here he comes. And so David Traylor, this should be 4 tires and fuel for the 54 car. Oh, caution. Oh, caution is out. Oh, man, how does this hurt the strategy of David Traylor? What does he do? Does he not pit? Yeah, that's a good call, I think. Traylor realizing he cannot afford to go a lap down. He'll have enough fuel, or at least he should, to limp it back. And then he'll take tires then. Man, how about timing? Bad timing for some, great timing for others, as I believe the caution may have been for Jesse Calloway. Yeah, it must have been because he has got significant front end damage to that race car. You can see it there, the Liquid Death machine. Liquid Death, Chevy Camaro rather, has certainly seen better days. And he had just made a pit stop, so I wonder if this was something with the warm-up lap, if you will, coming out of the pits. You know, you're still on cold tires, you're trying to get him up to temp, and as he gets down into the corner here, looks okay through entry, looks okay through the center, but then as he gets on exit, yeah, it just starts to slide out on him. Trying to correct, never does, spins out, tags the inside concrete, and as it starts to roll back up right there, that's where the caution flies. You saw Colton Hardy, he had just made his way down to the pits as well. And so that's a tough break for Jesse Calloway, as he'll have to go in and obviously use a fast spare if he's got one. And so right there, just, boy, that, man, it snaps around so quick that a lot of times there's really just nothing you can do because you can't predict it when it happens that fast. For Jesse Calloway, good news was he was able to get back rolling. We'll see. He may not have to waste a fast spare, even if he does have one on that damage. He may be able to get that fixed up manually and then just bring it back out to the racetrack. For Calloway, here's that view from TV3s. He just starts to slide. And then right here, he finally realizes that he's not going to be able to correct, so he locks it down, but just a little too late at that point, as once it hits that inside concrete, bounces off a little bit. The front nose caves in. And then he's going to roll just enough back out on track that it does indeed draw the caution here. And so this is officially our 5th caution here of the night. Jesse Calloway has not got that damage fixed as of yet. David Traylor was able to make it down the pits. So he's actually going to be in probably a pretty good position, I would argue, here, because he's going to have obviously much fresher stuff than Van Schaik and a couple others. And, you know, it's kind of tough here if you're Van Schaik. Obviously, you feel like you can't go back in because you took a set of tires during the stage break, and then you took your second set of tires during that first green flag stop. That means you've only got one set left since you also started with a set of tires on. And so for Van Schaik, I think they realize that, you know, they may be kind of sitting ducks here. And I say Van Schaik and they, and by they I'm referring to Clinton Woodby, Matthew Fritz, any driver that you see up here that is currently running ahead of David Traylor and anybody else that had the chance to just go in and take fresh tires. They don't want to not have a set of tires at the end of the race in case we get a late caution. So the only option is to stay out, and they're going to be in trouble if somehow this race does go green all the way through. But if we get another caution, then they should be able to go in, get tires, even out the strategies, and then hopefully get back up there with a shot to win it. A lot of drivers that are still looking for their first win of the season in the Asphalt Outlaws Racing Xfinity Series. Maybe tonight's the night for somebody. Van Schaik, it certainly could be. Matthew Fritz, it certainly could be. For Clinton Woodby, it would not be, though. We've already seen him find victory lane. So let's see if the lights do indeed go off this time. And it looks like they will. So a couple cars going to take the free pass. Looks like that is Calloway and Haas Beverly. And then they'll double file up behind them. The 23 of Van Schaik, the 92 of Clinton Woodby. And you see David Traylor just outside the top 10 right now, so you're going to have to keep an eye on him. Himself, Joe Yates, and a couple others, they are going to be flying towards the front of the field through the remainder of this race. And, you know, you're not quite at the point. I do want to note that everybody is good to go on fuel now. But you're not, well, they should be good to go on fuel at least. You figure they went in that first run there, probably about 40, at least 40 to 50 laps I think they're going to be good to go on fuel because you figure it's going to be just over 50 laps to go here when we get the green flag. And so with fuel no longer being a concern, it's really just a matter of trying to save tires until you get to that point where you feel like you can start pushing it all the way to the finish. I don't think we're quite there yet, and we could see another caution that could change the complexity of this race that much more. Here we go, green flag in the air. Van Schaik gets a good restart, enough to get clear the 92 of Clinton Woodby, and he'll jump up top before arcing it back down to the bottom. And again, watch for David Traylor, Joe Yakes, everybody back there on fresh tires on the right side of your screen. They are going to be flying through this field as soon as these tires get warmed up. And had a brief little hiccup there with the server. Van Schaik, though, so far so good. He's got a pretty good lead already on the 92 of Woodby, at least a good enough lead to call it some breathing room, I'll say. Further back, David Traylor has not been able to make a move, at least not yet. Maybe he's playing it conservative. Maybe he knows these guys have already worn their stuff out a bit, and he's going to let them wear their stuff out a little bit more. Van Schaik, watch out. Clinton Woodby looking for a move under the 23 car. Can he get it right here? He's going to take another peek down the backstretch. Woodby's going to have to outbrake him into the corner. Man, that 92 really dove it in deep. What a move from Clinton Woodby to make it stick on entry. Can he make it stick on exit, though? Can the 92 get clear? Not yet. They stay side by side as further back. You see David Traylor still has not been able to really get around anyone as of yet. Part of that's the fact that they're 2 and 3 wide. They're just about a row in front of them. But, man, even at the front, these guys are really dicing it up. The 92 of Clinton Woodby, he really wants this spot. He wants to grab the clean air here from Charles Van Schaik. The problem is each lap that he's stuck on the bottom, and ooh, there it is. The 92 overshoots the corner just a little bit. Or maybe that was meant to be the case. Either way, he roughed up the 23 just enough to be able to push him up the track and get clear so he didn't have to worry about staying side by side any longer. And so now for Clinton Woodby, he's got to wonder if the 23 may get a little bit aggressive here if he can get down to the bottom, but looks like he can't. Matthew Fritz will fill in that gap. He takes advantage of it. And so that moves the 27 rather, now up into the final podium position here tonight, as the 23 currently still trying to hold on to second here from Matthew Fritz. David Traylor now starting to make up just a little bit of room, a little bit of headway, if you will. He's back up to ninth. Saw him working the outside. That's the only thing I'm seeing out of the 54 that maybe I'm not the biggest fan of right now is, you start going to that high side. Fresh tires, you'll burn them up quick. You don't want your tires to even out with everybody else's. We'll see if Traylor decides to get aggressive, stay conservative, or on the same strategy that he's on right now. When they cross the line this time, it'll be 98 of 145 laps complete. So we are officially within 50 to go. And that'll probably start to go by pretty quick here at the Milwaukee Mile. Again, a track where lap times are really only 30 seconds or so a lap. For Van Schaik here, who's currently in third, still doing a really good job of holding on to the best of his ability with those older tires, but it's really Clinton Woodby and Matthew Fritz, the two that are impressing me the most at the moment, as Traylor still struggling back in traffic to go anywhere. He does see his teammate Colton Hardy a handful of spots or so ahead, and right now for Colton Hardy, he currently sits in fifth. He's actually down 3 spots from where he started this race at. Tells you just how good of a qualifying effort he had. So for Colton Hardy here, he'll be looking to see if he can grab what will be his second win of the season here tonight. Clinton Woodby still leading Matthew Fritz, but the margin is not by much. Maybe half a car length, maybe a car length on entry to the corner for Matthew Fritz. Every lap so far has been able to close it back up and minimize that gap between himself and the 92 of Clinton Woodby. All right, 100 laps down. We're going to go ahead and take another quick break. We'll go side by side so you don't miss a thing. Stick with us here at Milwaukee.
I played a couple of simulators, and this was like very responsive. Especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point.
But you feel like you're really driving. It feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Green flag is in the air. We are racing.
Three by three.
Almost no trouble. Around goes Alex Hill. On into the outside wall goes Hill. They're wrecking big time out back. We're not going to throw a caution. Finish. Who gets it in the line? Cody Nagels wins it in Talladega.
Welcome back to the Milwaukee Mile with the QH Design 145 for the Asphalt Outlaws Racing Series. We're back from break. We may or may not have one more depending on a few different factors here, but now that we're back, one of the things that we need to talk about here is Matthew Fritz. I mean, he has been shot out of a cannon here in the course of this last run, and now that 27 has gotten to the lead, took it away from Woodby, he has now stretched that lead to about 1.2, 1.3 seconds or so. And this is a big deal for Fritz in the sense of, I mean, if he can hold these guys off, this would be his first win of the season. And at a track that, I mean, this is a tough track to win at. I mean, it's a tough track to race at, much less win. So like I said, this would be a really, really big deal here for Matthew Fritz to grab his first win tonight at the Milwaukee Mile. But he's still got some factors that he's going to have to contend with. Again, the assumption as of right now is that they don't have to make another pit stop. I don't believe they have to, but if they did, that could certainly change some things up as well. Also, David Traylor, he's up to 5th. He's about 3.5 seconds back. In theory, he's been the fastest car all night, but does he have enough time in what's going to be just 36 laps to go when they cross the line next time to catch Matthew Fritz? Right now, sitting in second is Clinton Woodby. He has fallen back to a group of 3 cars, or I guess I should say a group of 2 cars, which is making it a 3-car race for second. Mark Beverly currently sits in that 3rd spot. And then the 97 of Colton Hardy trying to get up here and see if he can make something happen. Beverly taking a peek to the inside right there. And he's going to get, caution, trouble out back. Dylan Paz has spun around. And the 10 car, and he's going to clip Bill Hales right as the 53 tries to go by. You hope that didn't mess up Bill Hales' car too bad. I mean, I would think he's okay here. Yeah, I don't see much damage, so I think Bill might be okay, assuming he didn't get any suspension damage right there. So let's go back, and now this is one of the things that I was actually getting ready to say Matthew Fritz probably doesn't want to see, because now Trailer is closer and he gets another chance at a restart to pick up some more position. So here we go. Looks like this is a pass further back that somebody was trying to make on Dylan Paws right here, and I just so wonder, was it potentially Jay Stinson? The reason I say that is because of the trouble that we've seen these two have a couple different times tonight, and I think it was, yep, that's exactly what it was. It was Jay Stinson. He gets into the back of Dylan Paws. And this was, like I said, not the first time that these two have made contact here tonight. Watch it again. Jay's going to take a peek to the inside and just a little bit of contact right there in the center of the corner. And he ultimately turns Dylan Paws around, gets back in the gas, and continues forward. So I got to think Dylan probably not going to be too pleased with that one. But let's see what it looked like from his view here. As see Jay go to the inside. Jay maybe felt like he was a bit faster. Who knows? Maybe felt like the 10 wasn't letting him by, or may have been just by complete accident. That's the big question. That, I mean, we obviously don't know. From what we can see here on the broadcast, we don't have any prior reports, except for the fact that these two have been going at it a couple times tonight. And then right there at the end, a little bit of insult to injury, as Bill Hales was trying to sneak by. Dylan Paws starts rolling just a little bit too early. And then unfortunately for Bill Hales here, just right there, gets clipped. Man, I really hope that didn't damage the 53. That was a harder hit than it initially looked like. And watching it from one more angle here from the blimp cam, you see the 10 starts to get turned. And in fact, if we back that up a little bit more here, and watch the chopper view, Stinson, once he gets into the back from here, I don't know if he was ever able to really try to get off. So here's going to be the first hit, second hit, third hit, and then eventually the 10 goes all the way around. So Dylan Paws will lose his track position. Now he'll have to fight to get it back, as he is currently in the pits right now. And so you've got Mark Beverly now being scored as your leader, Evan Schilling second, Michael Newman third, Joe Yakes in fourth with Clinton Woodby fifth, and then it's Matthew Fritz in sixth, who went in to take that last set of Goodyear tires. David Trailer back in seventh, Colton Hardy in eighth with Charles Van Schaik in ninth. Jay Stinson currently rounding out your top 10. Well, since we're a little bit confused as to exactly what the deal was with that incident, let's see if we can bring up Jay Stinson for starters, then we'll see if we can get Dylan Paws and get a little more insight on exactly what happened there. Hey Jay, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Hey, what's going on, huh?
Not much. Well, we just saw kind of the incident that unfolded there to bring out the caution, and I guess I'm looking for some clarity, because we've seen you two kind of having your moments here tonight, and I'm just more curious, was that maybe a little bit of frustration, or was that just complete accident?
No, I mean, it was, he kept diving it down in front of me, and then he'd slam on the brake, and then that time I just got tired of the whole race. That's what he does. He's done it to everybody, so. And that way I just gave him a little nudge. He got loose. I hit him again because I wasn't coming out, so just one of those things. It's racing.
Yep, absolutely. Well, we appreciate the insight. Thanks for the clarity, Jay, and good luck the rest of the way.
No problem, buddy.
All right, so there you go. If we get another caution, we'll see how Dylan Paws feels about it, but that's the best way to put it there. He said, he didn't go out of his way to try to intent wreck him. He just said, he'd been doing it to me. I had enough, so I just rolled out that time. I didn't get on the brakes for him again. And Dylan Paws, if he gets back to him, he may very well return the favor. Seems like it gets tough for drivers to get even when it comes to kind of those payback moves, but we'll have to see how it all pans out. It's 3 wide already here through 1 and 2 on the high side there. That was Jesse Calloway. We'll have to file in line a little bit further back. Meanwhile, up front, Mark Beverly got off to a great restart, got through 1 and 2 clean, and so he now leads the field here through 3 and 4. Matthew Fritz, boy, he knows opportunity is knocking on the door, so he is going to be ultra aggressive. There he goes, split in the middle. He's going to try to see if he can get to the inside of Joe Yakes right here. David Trailer was able to beat him to the punch. Trailer right now is actually making up track position a lot quicker. Look at the 54 on that fresh rubber. He is absolutely flying through the field right now. And it is going to be officially 30 laps to go when they cross the line this time. You see Joe Yakes stuck on the outside, as is Dylan Paws. 3 wide again here as Matthew Fritz looks to the inside of Colton Hardy and Michael Newman. And boy, was that a squeeze off at turn 4 right there between David Trailer, Evan Schilling, and Clinton Woodby. They sorted out, and now for David Trailer, in the span of just a couple laps, he goes all the way from back, almost outside the top 10 it felt like, to now second. And he's going to see if he can chase down the 54 Trailer here, or excuse me, 54 is going to see if he can chase down the 55 for the lead, and he's already there. Boy, Mark Beverly, there's not going to be much he can do right here to defend this. David Traylor, just a lot better tires and a little bit more speed on top of that. It's going to make for a really, really hard car to try to hold off, and Traylor takes the inside. Beverly's going to try to fight here into turn 1 and 2. Can he hold him honest? He's trying, not going to be able to do it. David Traylor will get clear off the corner. He goes back to the point, and now they are still side by side for second. Looks like they're side by side back for 6th. So that might be for 7th or 8th. Man, you can just tell that the aggression continues to ramp up more and more as we get a couple of these late race restarts. And the 12 of Michael Newman here, he's going to make a move to the inside of Evan Schilling. Let's see if he can make this one work. He'll try to slide it into turn number 1. And I will say it is kind of interesting. A lot of tracks we talk about, the utilization of the slide job. It's a little bit tougher to do here at a track like the Milwaukee Mile because you don't really have any banking to fall back on. So you can't just full send it and know that the banking is going to hold you for at least a little bit of the corner. You can't do it. You'll just go straight up the racetrack. So you can kind of do a little bit of a slide job, but there's more of an art to it and more of kind of a patience aspect to it versus, as I said, a lot of the tracks that we go to when we mention the slide job, it's just, all about trying to send it into the corner as hard as you can, slide up, and then pull away. Not the case here. Clinton Woodby, Matthew Fritz, they have now filed into 2nd and 3rd. The only 2 cars at the moment that I feel like may really have a shot at this 54 machine, but maybe don't count out Colton Hardy and Charles Van Schaik just yet. They've had top 5 speed all night. See if maybe they can dig a little deeper, maybe find just a little bit more here for these last 26 laps. Traylor's still nice and smooth through 1 and 2. And I'll tell you what he's probably doing. And if you're David Traylor, it's not a bad idea. At this point in the race, he knows he's got the lead. He knows that he's still got pretty fresh tires. He knows he's arguably been the fastest car all night. So he's probably going to just try to see if he can save some stuff here. No point in overdoing it. Just try to save some tire. And then all of a sudden, if you need them later, you start getting a little racy with these guys behind you. Then you'll have something to work with. But it looks like, at least right now, David Traylor, who sits 2/10 ahead of Clinton Woodby, has not been able to pull away, at least not just yet. Now, if we got a caution at this point, I don't believe any of these top runners would have tires left to go grab. And so that would certainly change some things up in that aspect. But David Traylor here, he's going to have to pull away, or he's going to have to start thinking about trying to find a way to pull away soon. Otherwise, Woodby might think about trying to make a pounce here in one of these corners. We talk about the chrome bumper. We saw Stinson use it to Dylan Pause. Now, of course, I don't think that Clinton Woodby would do that to David Traylor, but you can't rule out the possibility of a little bump and run, or maybe if you sneak to his inside, just wiggle him up the track a little bit. And the only way to really avoid that when it comes down to the end of these races is to have enough of a gap where the driver behind you physically can't get to you. Traylor that time looked pretty good through both sets of corners, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Got a little bit of a gap on Clinton Woodby. Now it's 0.2 of a second and about 2 car lengths worth. For Matthew Fritz here, he is still patiently waiting in the shadows in that 3rd spot, but sooner or later here, he's going to also have to try to force the issue potentially on Clinton Woodby, do something to get by the 92 and try to go up there to chase the 54. Colton Hardy, Van Schaik still hanging strong with these top 3 as well. And then after that, you got to look a little bit further back before you find Jay Stinson and Dylan Pause, who just so happen to be back to bumper here. We'll go back to this one here for a moment, because you almost wonder, if Dylan Pause gets there, I think he would return the favor back. Jay Stinson right now in front of him, and doesn't look like Dylan would be close enough to do anything at this time. But if he got there, you certainly wonder what Pause would maybe think about trying. It'll be 21 laps to go, by the way, when they cross the line next time further up. You see Matthew Fritz trying to look to the inside of Clinton Woodby, but he wasn't able to get it done that time. As we stay on the onboard view here for Dylan Pause, who again continues to try everything to track down Jay Stinson. That would be the battle for 6th. Jay Stinson is up 7 spots from where he started this race at. Dylan Pause currently is at no net gain or loss in terms of positions from where he started this race at. Dylan looking for a big run here tonight. Try to help improve his point standings. But as of right now, up front, man, this is all night. It had just been David Traylor domination, and then we got a couple cautions that gave certain drivers on different strategies the chance to go up here and show some domination. And then all of a sudden, we get this latest caution. We get a restart, inside 30 to go. And now all of a sudden, we have got 5 drivers that you could throw under a blanket. They are all within a second of the leader. And man, oh man, I would still say it is anybody's race at this point. David Traylor, as of right now, still out in front, leading the way. Clinton would be second, and Matthew Fritz is trying everything to get to the inside of this 92 car, but he can't do it that time either. And if you're Matthew Fritz here, every time you make one of those lunges and it doesn't work out, you abuse those tires more and more. Van Schaik, there you go. That's textbook. That's what Fritz needs to try to do. Get to the inside and get that spot established with the hope of being able to actually get clear for that position in the next set of quarters. And here we go. What will Van Schaik do? Does he dive it in deep? Yes, he will. Hardy washes up a little bit as well. That's going to help the 23 out. And just like that, Van Schaik will take that spot from Colton Hardy, but that did cost those two a little bit of time. They faded back a little bit more. Now you see Dylan Paz. Looks like he had been losing a little ground here. As I believe, is this the 88 of Jonathan Herbert who's caught him? Yes, it is. Herbert going to be looking to set up a move here on the 10 of Dylan Paz. Not going to find it this time, but he has certainly again closed the gap. David Traylor, speaking of gaps, has that lead up to about 0.3, almost 0.4 seconds on the second and third place running cars of Clinton Woodby and Matthew Fritz. And it is now officially just 17 laps to go here from the Milwaukee Mile. David Traylor trying everything in his power to hold him off behind and see if he can go for yet another win this season. And at the rate he's going, I would not rule out the possibility of double-digit wins for the 54. I mean, he just continues to rack them up. He almost got it last week, couldn't quite get it done. I think some of that fire has been what's made him so fast this week, as they now hit officially 16 laps to go. And so for David Traylor, as he continues to try to scoot away, Matthew Fritz continues to try to find a way to make a pass here on the 92 of Clinton Woodby. When they cross the line this next time, it will officially be just 15 laps to go here at the Milwaukee Mile. The 92 of Woodby, ooh, that time he got in really, really low on entry. That could set up Matthew Fritz for a move here. Not quite. Fritz trying to get that car to rotate under the 92, but he just can't seem to do it. And as I talk about, he's trying so hard now that he's really starting to burn up his stuff. And so at some point, if you're Matthew Fritz, you got to maybe direct the attention to, if I don't think I can get by the 92, let me focus on trying to start saving it so that I can at least try to hold on to this final podium spot. As Fritz dives it into the corner, you can see that, I mean, really Woodby is a little bit better through the center. And then on exit, Fritz starts to catch a little bit, but then he gets loose, has to catch it, and loses some ground in the process. Here is Charles Van Schaik, who made that pass on Colton Hardy, and then those two had to catch back up to the leaders after that pass was made. Looks like Colton Hardy has done just that. Or excuse me, Van Schaik has done just that. Hardy's trying to do just that. This is the onboard view for Charles Van Schaik. Again, a driver who has come so close a few times this season to grabbing that first win. It hasn't happened yet. The Turn 4 racing driver has the opportunity to potentially do it here tonight. That would be assuming that everything goes his way. And it's going to be closing in on 12 laps to go next time. We're getting closer and closer to single-digit laps remaining. Once we get to that point, I just don't know if anybody's going to have anything else for David Traylor, because that gap is now up to over 0.7 of a second. If we got a caution, though, that could certainly still change things up in a big way, because remember, this race is not official until we get to the white flag. That is still 11 laps away. David Traylor's going to try to run these next 11 laps the fastest he's ran any all race. He knows what a caution would mean and how hard he would have to fight to fend these guys off if we got an overtime restart. So we'll go back and look through the field one more time before we'll turn our attention back up front for the rest of the way. So you've got, again, David Traylor currently leading. Clinton Woodby second. Matthew Fritz in third, trying to fend off Charles Van Schaik, who sits fourth. Then you've got a bit of a gap back to Colton Hardy, who's got a bit of a gap back to Jay Stinson. He's kind of on an island by himself. Then you go back to Dylan Paz, who's trying to hold off the 88 of Jonathan Herbert. Back in ninth, it's Mark Beverly, and he's trying to fend off Evan Schilling. And then the next big battle that we've got going on is Joe Yates who is trying to fend off a couple different cars. Jesse Calloway is not for position. He is a lap down. Haas Beverly, though, Michael Newman are. And those two right now trying to get side by side. Newman looking for a pass on Beverly. He's not going to be able to make it happen right there. And then Bill Hales, who sits in 14th. He's currently being scored as the last car on the lead lap. You've got Jesse Calloway back in 15th, the first and only car a lap down. Problem is he's not just a lap down, he's 5 laps down. And then you've got Jesse Wise, Rick LePage, Lance Thompson, and Keith Prince, who have all retired from the race, which leaves us with just a total of 13 cars. David Traylor, when he crosses the line this time, that'll now officially make it just 9 laps to go here from the Milwaukee Mile. So we are now officially in single digits. Clinton Woodby is still doing everything he can to fend off this 27. Fritz got a bit of a decent run here. He's going to take another look, but it's not quite enough to make the commitment. Thought Van Schaik would be able to pounce on these two with as much as they're racing, but it doesn't look like he's been able to do anything yet. In fact, the 23 has maybe just lost a little bit of time on these two. And with just 9 laps to go, going to be 8. If you're Van Schaik, do you try to just expect one of them to make a mistake, or do you go up here and force one of them to? Colton Hardy has faded back. He may be starting to run out of tire. He's going to try to hold on to a top 5 for the remainder of this race. For Matthew Fritz, he is going to be thinking now as to what could have been if we didn't get that last caution, the most recent caution, where he was leading, had over a 3.5-second gap between him and the 54. Got by Woodby, but just once they got back on even tire strategy, it's just been way too difficult to make a pass here. 27's going to try it again. This time he's got some momentum. Here we go. Maybe not. Maybe Fritz can make something happen here late in the going. 6 laps to go. 7. And Fritz, he is going to try to get clear of the 92 here through the center of 1 and 2. Can he do it? And it looks like, yes, he can. So Matthew Fritz will take that position away from Clinton Woodby. And really, really nice stuff right there from Matthew Fritz. Now, you ask yourself, is there enough time to go track down a 1.7-second gap to catch the leader, David Traylor? I don't believe so. He'd have to start making up, basically, I mean, at this point, he'd have to be making up at least a 1/10 of a second a lap. That wouldn't do it. He'd probably have to make up more than that. Either way, Matthew Fritz looking for what I also think would be his season best finish here tonight, even though it may not be a win. That would be the 2nd place finish if he can hold off Woodby and Charles Van Schaik here for these next 5.5 laps. So back up front we go. David Traylor, as he works his way off of turn number 4, will now officially see the starter hold up the 5 to go sign. So it is just 5 laps left here at the Milwaukee Mile. This is, by the way, I do want to mention one of the last short tracks that we'll be at for a while. I know that we mentioned, obviously, what the schedule was looking like a bit earlier, but just in case you forgot any of it, the races that we have coming up after this, I mean, the main focus is a little bit of a break from some of the more technical tracks and a little bit more of the bigger tracks. It'll be off to 1.5 miles and then a 2-mile oval, followed by another 1.5 miles, and then Pocono Raceway, which is a 2.5-mile triangle-shaped racetrack before we get to the next short track on January 10th, which will be Bristol Motor Speedway. And that one is obviously a whole different beast. Anything you learned tonight from the Milwaukee Mile, you're really not going to be able to apply to Bristol, which has a lot of banking compared to this track, which is completely flat in the corners. Matthew Fritz holding that gap even between himself and David Traylor, but that's not going to do it. He's been able to pull away from Clinton Woodby, but he's not going to be able to track down this 54 in time, not without some help from a caution. Clinton Woodby, well, I'll tell you what, Woodby has started to fall off a little bit, but so has Van Schaik. I mean, it's just so interesting how in the course of the last 5 laps, everybody's stuff has just went away. David Traylor is the only guy who maybe saved enough here to bring it home to the finish without having to just kind of conserve. And so that this time it'll be 2 laps to go. Final chance for a caution right here. So David Traylor wants to see that white flag more than anything right now. He's going to have to make it around this 1-mile oval one more time before he'll see it. So far, so good. Everybody out back, keeping it nice and clean. The rest of the field is pretty spread out up to this point. A couple of battles going on. See Joe Yates back there. Doesn't look like he's got Haas Beverly too close at the moment. And back up front, David Traylor, he'll work his way off of turn 4. This is what he's been waiting for all night. White flag is in the air. 1 lap to go at Milwaukee, and it's 2 sets of corners left for David Traylor to add yet another win to his tally this season. Traylor had great long run speed early on. He was able to win the stage after winning the pole. We talked about going for the sweep. He's already found out how to win races. What more can you do? Well, you can try to sweep the races. That's exactly what David Traylor's going to do here tonight. He was perfect through stage 1, a little bit of adversity through the final stage, but he made his way back up here, and during the final run, he gets back to the front. He'll lead them all to that point. David Traylor wins at the Milwaukee Mile. See the let's go and the fist bump right there. He's pumped to win at this track. He knows how tough this one was. And that late model experience paid off here tonight. As the 54 will add yet another win. Matthew Fritz brings home a 2nd place finish, his season best. And Clinton Woodby rounds out the podium in 3rd. See a couple of congratulatory bumps there. So as Traylor will bring it around to celebrate, we'll take a look at your finishing results here tonight. Again, David Traylor is your race winner of the QH Design 145. Matthew Fritz finishes in 2nd. Clinton Woodby back in 3rd. Then Charles Van Schaik in 4th with Colton Hardy in 5th. Jay Stinson 6th. Then you've got Dylan Paws back in 7th. Jonathan Herbert 8th. Mark Beverly in 9th with Evan Schilling rounding out your top 10. Joe Yates finishes 11th. Haas Beverly back in 12th. Michael Newman in 13th with Bill Hales in 14th. Then it's Jesse Calloway back in 15th with Jesse Wise in 16th. Rick LePage 17th. Lance Thompson is in 18th. And it's Keith Prince rounding out your field here tonight as he finishes in 19th. All right, as David Traylor continues to burn it down and celebrate here on the front stretch, we're going to go grab your race winner along with your other 2 top 3 finishers. See if we can get an interview. Stick with us. We'll be right back at the Milwaukee Mile. All right, going to kick things off here tonight with your race winner. He's still doing his burnout, so let's bring him up here. David Traylor. David, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you, Austin.
Well, you get the win. You add another one to the tally of this season. But, man, this one was a tough one. A track that is really, really technical. You get the job done. But, I mean, what was going through your head before we got that last caution? Did you think maybe you weren't going to have enough time to get back to the front?
Yeah, it started to cross my mind there. I had to use a little too much tire getting around those guys. I knew I was faster than them, and I honestly, I felt like they were kind of blocking me. So I had to use a couple doors. I knew I was faster than them, and I couldn't waste any more time. So let them know I was there, let them know I was faster. And then once I kind of got some clean air, I saw that the 27 was like 3.5 seconds ahead of me, and I was like, well, this might not end very well. So just tried to put my head down, log some laps. Like I said, I'd kind of killed the right front, trying to get around those guys. And then that caution came and took a gamble. It was some cars stayed out, thinking we'd get one more caution, and finally hit the right side of strategy this week.
Yeah, absolutely. You've won it on speed so many times this season, but you finally were able to get a little bit of a break on the strategy side as well here tonight. Well, I mean, we're running out of things to ask you because we've had a chance to talk to you so much, but you get the sweep here tonight by winning the stage. I mean, what's next at this point? I mean, what else can you really win at this point?
I'd like to go back-to-back on the championship. There's things I know I can still fix. Obviously, I had pretty good speed here tonight, and that's a good sign for the short tracks in the future. But I want to expand and get better and win as much as I can. Winning doesn't really get old. I know I probably didn't show a ton of emotion there at the end. It was more of a sigh of relief that I actually pulled it off. So I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully this momentum carries through the rest of the season. Hopefully the Thanksgiving and Christmas break don't slow me down too much, and we can take this momentum into the playoffs.
Absolutely. And I'm thinking about another short track Bristol. That would be a big one to get the win at. So, hey, before we let you head out here tonight to go celebrate another win, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Oh, yeah. First, thanks to my teammates over at Loose Lug Nuts, Colton and Joe, and then the Jessies. We put together a pretty good run as a team. We were running pretty good there for most of the first half of the race. Some contact, and then a really unfortunate kind of pit sequence there sent me and Colton to the back. So once we got through that, kind of figured it out. So thanks to them for sticking with it and helping me out there. Thanks to Mark. I know he puts this league on. These races they're fun. These guys they're good. Thanks to QH Designs, sponsor on the car, and I believe of the race this week. If you need any marketing material, hats, signs, vinyls, banners, really whatever you can think of, reach out to QH Designs. They can take care of it for you. Thank you to you over at PGR. Fortunately, I missed the race last night. I was able to watch some of the highlights today, though. Pretty much every broadcast you and PGR is a part of is amazing. So I'm glad you guys are over here with us this season. And then thanks to my dad watching at home and my fiance for letting me do this.
And David, thank you for talking to us. Can't say that you really missed much last night with the crap shoot we had over there, but hey, we appreciate you tuning in. And again, thanks for talking to us tonight. Congrats on the win.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Austin.
All right, now that'll bring us up to your second place finisher here on the night for Noma Motorsports. It's Matthew Fritz. Matthew, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, you bring home your season best finish here tonight, and man, looked like you may have had speed to contend with the 54, but what more did you need to try to get around the 92 a bit sooner?
You know me. I'm very nice and patient, and I just didn't want to wreck Woodby, and we've been racing clean, and I didn't want to take him out because I do a dumb move. So I knew if I waited for a little bit, I was better in the long run. I get past him, but probably need another caution there to get a chance at David. But he's so fast and very good. So I'm just happy with second.
Yeah, certainly a good finish. Again, we talk about, kind of when you get a good finish like that, sometimes for drivers, it can be kind of a swing in the momentum. When you get that season best finish, do you feel like it kind of flips a switch that you can go out there now and potentially grab that first win in the next couple weeks?
Yeah, I think so. I had speed running with the top people. I was surprised and very happy to have the speed of the being top 5 and leading some laps, and yeah, it was fun.
You were a ton of fun to watch tonight, Matthew. So hey, before we let you head out to go celebrate a good podium finish, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
I gotta thank my mom and dad and my grandmother for watching. I gotta thank Jay, great teammate, great friend, helped me a lot tonight. Keep me calm, keep me help me out, and gotta thank Nibble Motorsports on the sponsor, and I gotta thank you, Austin, for broadcasting. You do a fantastic job.
Matthew, thank you for talking to us again. Congrats on the second place finish, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
All right, and last but certainly not least, that'll pull us to your third place finisher for White Knuckle Racing. It's Clinton Woodby. Clinton, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you, bud.
We bring home a third place finish here tonight, and man, you were fighting there at the end, trying everything to hold off the 27 Matthew Fritz. Did it start to feel like the handling and the tires went away, or did you feel like maybe that you just needed a little bit more time? What else did you need there at the end to hold them off?
About 10 laps less is what I needed, actually.
Yeah, so less time.
I was getting worse. I was getting slower the longer the run went, just because I was doing all I could to keep pace with David, even though I know he was toying with me because he had everybody beat by half a track tonight. So when he wasn't pulling away from me, I knew I had to just try to get in front of him to just get in front of him, but I couldn't even do that.
Well, it was still a good finish, again, to bring home a podium spot. And we've seen you now start to put together these consistent finishes over the last few weeks. And we still got a ways before we get to the playoffs, but now we're going to start to head back to some of the bigger tracks, the 1.5 miles and greater. What are you looking forward to in the next couple weeks? Do you see maybe a win kind of on the schedule here in the next couple weeks?
Yeah, I mean, I don't ever take any track. I mean, tonight I bought the track right before we started the race. So if I can have a P3 at a track with no experience, somewhere that I have any experience at all, I have a decent, good feeling that I should have a good finish.
Absolutely. Well, hey, Clinton, before we let you head out here tonight to go celebrate, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, shout out to my girlfriend, Megan. She's my #1 supporter. Blair Peterson, Win and Bid Diecast. And all of Masami Law Firm, those two guys for coming on board. Appreciate all that, and you guys for the stream.
And Clinton, thank you for talking to us again. Congrats on the podium finish, and we will see you next week.
Have a good one.
All right, well, that is going to wrap up our coverage here tonight from the Milwaukee Mile. A great race and another win for David Traylor. Great finish, though, for Matthew Fritz and Clinton Woodby, rounding out the podium. And, man, 145 laps. We saw some cautions to break it up. We saw some strategy come into play, and I loved every moment of it. I hope that everybody watching did as well. We will be back not next week, but the week after that. So for anybody that I won't see until then, have a happy Thanksgiving. That's it for me, Austin Green, on PGR eSports. Until next time, have a good night.